pitting my February reads against each other, all in the effort to find my 6-star read for February because I am torn between too many books. I have 6 categories. The categories we have are romantasy, cozy fantasy, romance, dystopian, new release, and a commentary about society because I needed something to pair with Yellowface and I didn't really have anything that paired with it. So for February, the 2 romantasy books I read were The Rose Bargain and Heavenly Bodies. So The Rose Bargain is a book that is set in 1800s London and is ruled by Queen Moore, who is an immortal fae queen. She offers her subjects a chance to make a magical bargain with her that usually comes with downsides. The bargains are very much beneficial, especially for young women who are going to be making their debuts into society. They will make bargains for like prettier hair, prettier teeth, prettier face. To quote from the book, it's to make them the perfect English rose, so that way they can marry well. So the book centers on our character Ivy, and her family is in decline after scandalous rumors spread about her sister who went missing after she made her bargain, and all the pressure is on Ivy to marry well to save the family from poverty. So when Ivy goes to make her bargain, the queen's like, so this is my hot fae prince son, and one of you guys are going to marry him. We're gonna have a competition, and the winner of this competition is going to marry my son. So that basically sets up the plot. I love this book. I was never bored with it. I had such a fun time reading it. I think it was paced well. I have no problems with this book, except for just a tiny little like complaint is there's a spicy scene in it, and this book is rated young adult, so it kind of caught me off guard. The spicy scene isn't like written graphically or anything, but I was just kind of like, what? In Heavenly Bodies, we have our main character Lara, who is fated with this prophecy that predicts that she will fall in love with a star, which are powerful beings in this world. If she falls in love with a star, her and whoever she falls in love with will both die. So I love this. It hit every romantasy trope that I wanted, and it was written well enough, and it was unique enough to keep my attention, because I've been having this issue with romantasy here lately where it's just all copy and paste ACOTAR, and it's just really annoying. Like Quicksilver, I DNF'd it because I was just so bored. So it was really refreshing to read a romantasy and not be bored. Also, it hits all of my favorite tropes. It has enemies to lovers, panties were dropping, the spice was spicing, there was pining, and there was tension, and Enzo is the POV that this is written in. I'm not quite one for third person omniscient POV. I feel like it leaves a lot of the way for the author to do more telling instead of showing, and I'm a big fan of writers writing in a way to where I can figure it out for myself. To me, that's a sign of a more advanced writing, and it's something that I enjoy more personally. With romantasy, it doesn't really bother me too much because I don't read these books for the plot, but I think out of The Rose Bargain and Heavenly Bodies, I'm gonna go with The Rose Bargain. I think it was more well put together. The pacing was really good. I never felt myself bored with it. I didn't forget what happened in the book. So I think The Rose Bargain out of these 2 books is the clear winner. So there we go. Romantasy category done. This next category is cozy fantasy. The books that I put in for cozy fantasy was Sword and Thistle and The Rainfall Market. These are 2 very, very different cozy fantasies. This one's gonna be really hard. This one's because I loved both of these books so much. Let me tell you what they were about, and then we can figure out the winner. Sword and Thistle is a book that is by an indie author, and I'm so excited. I'm getting more into indie authors. But anyways, Sword and Thistle, it's about an older adventurer who's going on a quest to find this mushroom because the reward for this mushroom is big. So he goes on quests, he explores ruins, he camps under the stars. The cozy scenes in this book, like if you like questing stories, characters that go on quests and do things together and found family, this was so good. So Dolben is looking to take one last quest, and his latest quest will be taking a rare mushroom from a glassed over, burnt down dwarven city called Hell's Crag that's haunted with really scary monsters and stuff. But there he meets like this druid, and I love her. I think what really helped me love this book is that Dolben's character arc is basically leading up to him showing that he doesn't have to do things solo, that he can count on other people even though the demons of his past are hindering him from doing that. I'm trying not to spoil the book. It's free on Kindle Unlimited, dude. Just go read it. Support the author. Okay, so for the Rainfall Market, I really enjoyed this book. It read like a Ghibli movie. That's how magical and whimsical it was. Basically, on the outskirts of Rainbow Town, there is this old house, this old abandoned house, and they say if you send a letter detailing your misfortunes there, you could receive a ticket, and this ticket is to the Rainfall Market. So then we have our main character Seirin, and she receives a ticket for this Rainfall Market. We have magical cats, we have bookstores, fantastical looking buildings that are colorful, and she goes on an adventure to try to find her happiness. And if she can't find her happiness before the rain season ends, she will vanish into the market forever. It gives me like Spirited Away vibes, because Chihiro in Spirited Away is whisked off to a different world where she goes on this character journey and comes out more, basically just more grown up and knowledgeable and more sure and confident in herself. I did give this book a 3 stars. I just don't think it was as gripping as Sword and Thistle was for me. So I think out of these two for cozy fantasy, I will pick Sword and Thistle, but the Rainfall Market is such a vibey good read. The next category we have is new releases. So for this category, we have A Sea of Unspoken Things and Witchcraft for Wayward Girls. This one's gonna be a hard choice because I had equal love and dislike for both of these books. Dislike is a strong word, but there were parts of these books where I was just kind of like, eh. A Sea of Unspoken Things is about Jane, who returns to her rural hometown after her twin brother passes away. And they got like this crazy twin telepathy thing going on, which is where the magical realism part of this book comes in. Because James has this intense bond with her twin brother, she could sense that he passed away before she was actually told about it. And this deep bond that they share leads her to trying to discover what actually happened to her brother. So we have like a murder mystery going on here. There's small town secrets. The only problem I had with this was kind of a big problem which affected my rating. I was gonna give it a 5 stars, but I ended up giving it a 4 star, is that the first part of this book is so boring. It's like a slow burn mystery, and it was a slog to get through. It just felt like nothing was happening, and then like the last half of the book was so good. Things were coming together, we were figuring out stuff, the characters were finally starting to develop more. It kept my attention way better than the first part of the book did. For the second book in this category, we have The Witchcraft for Wayward Girls, and I'm not gonna lie, I didn't really like this book. I don't really like books talking about pregnancy. It's just not something I'm interested in reading about, and not something that I really connect with. So I just picked up the book because I really like Grady Hendrix as a horror writer. Grady Hendrix is really good at making babies being born sound really creepy, but I didn't like it. And not in an uncomfortable way. I just didn't like it. I really wanted to read this book because I was like, oh my gosh, one of my favorite horror authors is writing about witchcraft. So I was expecting a witchy, spooky read, but what we got was historical fiction. There wasn't a lot of witchery going on, but the witchery that did happen was awesome. I will give it to Grady Hendrix though. I was very uncomfortable during the birthing scenes. That might be a bit of a spoiler, but it's about these girls that are sent to a home out in the middle of nowhere in Florida. They're unwed and they're young and they're having babies, and of course their families are embarrassed by them. So they sent them the way so they can have the kid, and the kid is put up for adoption. This is something real that happened, that was horrible, a horrible period in history that happened to many women and their children. And we were reading about these women who are dealing with the consequences of their parents doing this to them. The way the girls were introduced to witchcraft was very interesting. There was a librarian that gave them an occult book, and this book was their gateway into witchcraft, and it gave them a taste of power and control for the first time ever in their lives, and it kind of made everything else spiral. I just wish it went further than what it did. This is a hard choice because there are things that I liked and disliked about them both, but I think I'm gonna go with A Sea of Unspoken Things for the winner of the new release category. Man, that's a tough one. But yeah. I think that's good. Oh my god, this one isn't even a fair competition for this next category. The next category is romance, and for this category, the books will be First Time Caller and Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. Deep End is a college sports romance. It's about this diver named Scarlett and a swim team leader named Lucas, and it has like this sort of forbidden romance between them that's set up by Scarlett's best friend, who is also Lucas's ex-girlfriend. Yeah, I have a lot of problems with this book. First of all, Lucas gave me so many red flags, so many icks. I did not like him as the male lead. He was horrible. Scarlett is going to therapy because she has some issues that she has to work through. And basically, Lucas is the one that's fixing all of her issues and not the therapist. So then we have like these therapy scenes that are just like, why are these here? Why are these in the book? And also, Lucas admitted to crushing on Scarlett while he was still in a relationship with his ex-girlfriend, which also, again, his ex-girlfriend is Scarlett's best friend, and this best friend constantly inserts herself into their relationship. She causes so much drama for what? She's like, I want Lucas back, even though she was the one who suggested get together in the first place. Like, why are you getting mad when you're the whole reason that they're together? I'm sorry. This book was pitched as the spiciest Ali Hazelwood book yet. And yeah, maybe there were no hot pool scenes. Where are my hot pool scenes? Huh? And they make a list of like happy fun stuff they want to do to each other for like consent and stuff like that to make sure, which that's nice. But then they have this list and I'm like, oh, okay. That's like a nice list. This is gonna be fun to read. Guys, they don't do anything on the list. That's like showing someone a chocolate cake, putting it under their nose and letting them sniff it, and they're like, oh, you don't actually, you don't get to have it. What the fuck? Okay. All right, but then we have a complete 180 here. We have First Time Caller by B.K. Borison. Words cannot describe how much I love this book. It was so good. It was so cute. Possibly my most favorite romance I've ever read. In this book, we have Aiden, who hosts a radio show called Heartstrings, where people can call in and ask for dating advice, which is kind of ironic because Aiden is someone who has fallen out of love with the idea of love. And one night we have this little girl who calls in to get dating advice for her mom, Lucy. And this interview goes viral. It's so funny. And then one thing leads to another, and Lucy ends up co-hosting with Aiden. I love Lucy and her daughter's relationship and Lucy's relationship with her ex-husband. It's very cute. It's very healthy. It's very refreshing to read. And I love Aiden and his character journey in this book. Like, he's working through some stuff. There's some exploration of grief in this book, and I think it was really well done, and it didn't ruin the vibe of the book, like in their romance, which is something that is so important to me in my romance books. It's a slow burn romance, but they love each other in the cutest possible ways. Guys, this man has a list of Lucy's favorite things in his glove box so he doesn't forget them. So cute. And then if one of them is feeling jealous or just any bad feelings, they communicate. The Sleepless in Seattle comparison was actually so accurate because this whole book, I was just getting those wholesome early 2000s rom-com vibes. So I enjoyed this book so much. Oh my god. This was a perfect book and I will accept no criticism on it. So yeah, that's the winner for the romance category. Let's move on to the next one. For the dystopian category, we have World War Z, and this is kind of stretching it a little bit, but it's the end of the world for these people in this town. We have Under the Dome. Let's talk about Under the Dome first. This is a chonkin', but it is huge. It's like, I think it's like almost 1,000 pages. Classic Stephen King, small town. There's a dome that mysteriously appears over the town, and then we are navigating a large cast of characters as they are navigating this craziness that's happening. Like, there's a dome over their town. People can't get in or out. There's so many bad things that happen to the people in this town because they're trying to survive. It was a tough read for quite a bit of it, especially reading of things that happened to some of the women in the town. It was really hard to get through. This wasn't my favorite Stephen King book. I think it could have been shorter. It was way too long for what it was, which is crazy because a lot of his other books that are really long, like It, I loved It. That was such a good book. That is my favorite horror book. I love It. And like The Stand, I gobbled up The Stand. I read it so quickly, but Under the Dome took me a whole week to read, which I realize is still fast, but for me, that's not that crazy fast. It was just, I didn't like it as much as I like the stand in it. So, okay, for World War Z, it imagines a world where the zombie outbreak has led to a global conflict or a war against the zombies. Basically, it's humans versus zombies. And I love the structure of this story because it's told through a series of interviews, kind of like an oral history. These interviews are put together by the narrator to tell the stories of the survivors. By doing the book this way, you get so many different perspectives of what happened when the outbreak happened from like doctors, soldiers, civilians, and scientists. One of my favorite stories was of this guy from Japan, and basically in Japan there are these group of people that stay indoors, they don't go outside. I think the book refers to them as otakus, but basically they stay on the internet and surf it all day. So of course when the zombie outbreak happens, after a while the internet shuts off and these people have to emerge out into the world to survive and get through this to somewhere safe. And I think that perspective, as someone who is chronically online, it was a pretty relatable perspective. It explores all the societal and political impact that the zombie war had, and it was a really chilling read of the worst but the best of humanity. Also, I saw the movie years ago, and how did they get that from this book? Who let that happen? I've never seen or read a book like World War Z before, and it's not what I expected, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's so much better than the movie. I don't really think there was anything wrong with the book, so I think we have a clear winner here for a dystopian World War Z. Okay, I can't remember what exactly I called this category, but I'm gonna call it social commentary category. So the book I paired with Yellowface for this category was Animal Farm by George Orwell. Animal Farm is one of those small but mighty books where it explores themes of corruption and the powerful, and how our basic freedoms and our fight for equality can be attacked at any time and taken away at any time. A very telling quote from this book is, "All animals are equal, but some are more equal than others." I really don't have much else to say. It's an important read, especially to get more of an understanding of what's happening in the world around us. It's short, it packs a punch in an easy to understand way. And to me, it wasn't very entertaining. It felt like I was reading an essay, not a book, if that makes sense. Like, of course it's a book, it's a novel, it's a fully fleshed out novel, but I was reading commentary and not an entertaining book. Orwell is using his own experiences and translating them into an anthropomorphized type of piece of work. So it's interesting. I think it was very clever of him to use animals to explain it, because I think something that's very telling about human nature is that we don't want to face ourselves in the mirror when we know we're on the wrong side of history. It's hard to articulate what I want to say about this book in a way that does it justice. Knowledge is power, and this is one of those books that will help elevate things that you may already know but need more commentary on, or help you connect things together. Then we have Yellowface, and this book is a satirical look at the publishing industry and critiquing how it handles diversity. The story starts with two authors, June, who is a struggling author, and then her friend Athena, who is a very successful author. Through a crazy turn of events and a pancake eating competition, Athena chokes on one of the pancakes and dies in front of June, leaving her panicked. She doesn't know what to do. In this chaos, June gets her hands on Athena's unpublished manuscripts and has the idea to pass it off as her own. Plagiarism. What I liked the book is something that I also think really worked for it. It was a chaotic mess of June dealing with the consequences of her actions. And it was a train wreck, like a super entertaining train wreck that I couldn't look away from. I mean train wreck in the most endearing way, because June is so unlikable and she's so stupid. She doesn't learn anything. She's very unlikable, and I think that part of the book was written so well. There is commentary of the publishing industry and readers wanting more diversity, but only when it fits their needs and the publisher's needs. And when marginalized groups drift from their lane, it's suddenly a problem. The only thing is I wish Arv Kong would have taken this commentary and ran with it just a little bit more to make it pack more of a punch. Like, I read Babel, and that book went there. Like it did not hold back. And from what I've heard, the Poppy War doesn't hold back. But in Yellowface, the narrative kind of dies for me and lacks that punch in the gut, because it feels like there are many moments where Arv Kwong kind of inserted a bit too much of herself into what June was feeling. And I honestly felt that took quite a bit of the punch and point away from the story. Out of the books, I think I was more entertained by Yellowface, but Animal Farm just hit it. Like Orwell went all the way with the social commentary. I think I'm gonna give this one to Animal Farm, but I really did like Yellowface in terms of entertainment value. I wish it would have went further like Animal Farm did. So yeah, I'm gonna give it to Animal Farm. So now we have our top 6. So World War Z, Animal Farm, A Sea of Unspoken Things, Sword and Thistle, First Time Caller, and Rose Bargain. So out of these books, I'm gonna put World War Z and Animal Farm together first. I think out of these two, I'm gonna go on entertainment value on this one because I think they both go there. So for entertainment value, I'm gonna give it to World War Z out of these two. So World War Z goes into the top 3. So let's put A Sea of Unspoken Things and Sword and Thistle together. A Sea of Unspoken Things, I had trouble with the pacing in the first half of the book, like I was talking about earlier. And I think Sword and Thistle, all throughout the whole thing, was very well paced. It was very well written. I really didn't have any problems with the book. It did what it needed to do. So I think based on that, I'm gonna give this one to Sword and Thistle. And for the last two, oh god, I put these two together because they're both romance, and they're both I like them both very muchly. I think we all know who the winner is out of First Time Caller and the Rose Bargain, because how much I gushed over First Time Caller. It has to be the winner. It is the perfect romance book. So now we have, for our top 3, we have World War Z, Sword and Thistle, and First Time Caller. And so First Time Caller and World War Z, I gave both 5 stars, and Sword and Thistle, I gave 4 stars. So this hurts to do because I really did like Sword and Thistle so much. It was like a warm, happy hug when I read it, because I've read a lot of heavy books and I was in the mood for something to just escape from everything. But unfortunately, I just don't think it's gonna make it to my top 2. Now we have our top 2, World War Z and First Time Caller. Both of these are 5 stars. I like them both, but both for very different reasons. We have World War Z. It punches the punches. It hits hard with its commentary. It's a big scale story. And then we have First Time Caller with the cutest couple with no miscommunication. The cutest book boyfriend that I've ever read. I'm not gonna lie. He's so sweet to her. I was kicking my feet. It gave me butterflies. But I was equally entertained by both of these books. So what would constitute a 6 star? You know what, guys? I think I'm gonna have to go with First Time Caller. I think about this book so much. I compare it to every romance that I see in the store now. That's how good it was to me. So my 6-star read for February, and the winner of this little tournament bracket is First Time Caller. Well deserved. I enjoyed this book so much. That was a really fun way to do a wrap up. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. What did you guys read in February? Did you have a 6-star read? Or what did you DNF anything? Let me know down in the comments. And thank you guys for all the new subscribers. I really appreciate you giving me a chance. I love this channel so much. It's so much fun to talk about books and make videos for you guys. So if you have any ideas for videos that you'd like me to do, let me know down in the comments. I will see you in the next video. Bye. Bye. Are you still here? Got any games on your phone?